First, I wanted to just share real quick. Daniel and I had the honor and privilege of going to see Elton John in Vancouver last night, part of his farewell tour, and it was an amazing time. In a weird way, what I experienced last night and what we have experienced as Elton John fans over the years is that there are definite similarities between someone like Elton John or Lady Gaga or whatever, and us entrepreneurs and business owners trying to succeed in our business. And what triggered that is that during his show last night, Elton John talked about the humble beginnings and how they had to start at the beginning just like everybody else. They had nobody to sign their contracts for their record deals, and nobody was buying their stuff, and they had to get gigs and all that kind of stuff. And it's the same scenario as an entrepreneur, isn't it? You have to start from somewhere. You got to start from scratch. And the cool thing is that, the potential is there that you could end up becoming the next Elton John in your industry, but it doesn't happen overnight. And just like it feels like Elton John has been, was an overnight success years ago, that's not the case. And that's not the case for anybody who has a successful business. So one of the things that I implore you to do is not assume that you are failing just because you didn't, make a sale on your first launch, or, as soon as your website was ready or whatever, right? These kinds of things have to happen. And that's part of my, my intention here of these Tea Time Tips is to help you understand what it takes to grow a sustainable business. So in the spirit of Elton John, let's do that today. Tell me, what is your favorite Elton John song? I have a few of them, and a little quick side note is that Elton John has a bit of a special place in my heart, because his Caribou album was the very first album that I purchased as a teenager. And there's still songs on that album that are my absolute favorites. And so what is your favorite song of Elton John's? I would love to find out. So I want to ask you, are you frustrated by having the lack of leads and the lack of clients? One of the best ways to have that happen for you is to build the know, like, and trust factor with your potential prospects and reach out to them on a consistent basis. But how do we do that, right? That's easier said than done. And how we do that is by sending out regular newsletters consistently. You need to know what your options are for list building strategies and how to convert those subscribers into customers. And in today's show, that's exactly what we're going to talk about, and know how to get more email signups and qualified leads into your list without feeling sleazy, and then what to do with that list once they are there. So stay tuned. We're about to start with this episode of Tea Time Tip, Marketing for Busy Entrepreneurs. Just in case you don't know who I am. Now, heaven forbid, I don't know why that would happen. I'm your host, Susan Friesen, founder of eVision Media. We're a full-service web development and digital marketing agency where we help build successful businesses through brand and graphic design, custom website design and development, and digital marketing, so that our clients can be proud to showcase their business to the world. So you can find us at evisionmedia.ca to find out more information. Go ahead and check us out at evisionmedia.ca if you are in the look for a web development, a professional web development and marketing firm. One of the things that really does make us stand out is that we are not like most other web developers out there. I have 20 years in the industry, and I have a team of amazing, incredible professional experts in their areas of interest. We're about a team of 10, 11 people. And so you are not just taken care of by one person and only what that one person knows. You're actually taken care of by a collective group of experts. And we're pretty reasonably priced too, compared to the kind of quality that you get. So let me know if you are interested in hearing more about what we can do for you. Stay for the entire show today, because I'm going to be talking about email marketing, and specifically newsletters and list building to get into that newsletter list. I'm going to be taking you from why it's so important, and then talking about specific strategies on this topic, what you need to do and what you need to know, so that you can build a list full of people who actually want to hear from you. And so that way you can then develop the know, like, and trust factor with them. And then that will help you get more leads and more clients that you need in your business in order to be successful. Because at the end of the day, we can't have a business without clients or without customers, right? It's wonderful to have a business, but it's a whole nother thing to actually make the sales that you need in order to create that business of your dreams. And so this show today is a very important one, and I hope you're going to come and join me. And so let's get into the meat and potatoes of today's. I should change that, right? Meat and potatoes, that's old school. I don't eat potatoes anymore. It's too many carbs. Meat and vegetables. Let's go into the meat and vegetable side of today's show and talk about newsletters specifically, because newsletters is a means to get leads. Let me first talk about why it's important, and then I'll talk to you about how to make that happen. Okay, so I'll go into that in a second. But first of all, it's important to understand what your ideal target market actually wants from you, because not every newsletter has to be exactly the same, right? Every newsletter is, depending on the industry, depending on who your target market is, can be different. And especially, say, if you are B2B versus B2C, or if you have an online store, an e-commerce store, or a brick and mortar store versus having a service industry. So all of these things take into consideration on, just how, what kind of a newsletter that you need. But typically there's 3 different areas of a newsletter. The first one is, is your target market looking for and seeking out details on sales and discounts? Now, this would be typical for an online store or a brick and mortar store. I mean, thinking, the Bay or Amazon, even, like every day you're getting an email with today's specials and things like that. So that's definitely one reason why your target market would be signing up, is to find out about the next special or what's coming up next, what's your latest and greatest. And then also they sign up to be entertained or inspired. Sometimes that's all they're looking for. Think Oprah or some of those more spiritual minded newsletters that you get, the daily inspirational quotes and things like that. And the other one, the third type of newsletter is capitalizing on the people who are signing up to learn something of value. And for the most part, in general, whether we're in the service industry or have an online store, that third one, the learning of something of value, is a surefire thing. It doesn't really matter what you do or who you serve. If that audience can learn something from you, then all the better. That is one of the best ways to develop that know, like, and trust factor with the leads that come into your newsletter funnel. And I'm going to talk more about that in a second as well. And so that's the platform that I, sit in the most, is, teaching us something value. In fact, if you get onto our newsletter, you can definitely take advantage of something that I do is on a weekly basis. I'm teaching something of value, plus you get our free report right off the bat. Those are the three things that are, the main reasons why people sign up for newsletters. And you personally might have a different reason for any of those. You personally might sign up for different people's newsletters and use each one of those three different reasons. And so you have to kind of reverse that and think about, okay, my target market, what would they be looking for? And then you create your newsletter around that. The first thing that you want to do, and this really is still talking about the why. I'll talk about what to do in the next section here. But first, let's talk about why this is so important. And so the first thing that is actually super important is that it tells your customers or your potential customers what it is that you do. You have an opportunity to educate them and tell them why should they do business with you. Why is your product or program more viable, more worth their money than somebody else that might be trying to get their business. And so it gives you an opportunity to really then let people know what makes you so special. And then I'm going to refer back to Elton John here for a second, because I was thinking one of these things that we want to talk about when it's, educating potential clients on why pick me instead of somebody else. Well, it's all based on the USP, right? Your unique selling proposition. And in past Tea Time Tips, I've talked, I think I dedicated 2 episodes to helping you define what makes you unique, what stands you apart from your competitors. Why should somebody choose you as opposed to another option that they have? And that's all about your USP. And when you think about it, think about Elton John. I mean, back when, if you saw his movie Rocket Man not too long ago, you would have a better understanding of how his beginnings really were. And he instinctively knew that he had to differentiate himself. He had to be different. And by being different, he started dressing up outlandishly. He started doing all these antics on the stage, his famous glasses and all these costumes that he wore. He didn't do that because he walked around all day looking like that at home. He did that because he knew he had to be unique and stand out and differentiate himself from all the other starving artists that are out there vying for the same audience. And Lady Gaga did the same thing. Madonna. I mean, there's a whole long list of artists who went that route. So you have to do the same thing. Now, of course, you don't have to dress up like Elton John. That's not what I'm saying. But you do need to know what your USP is. That USP is kind of the center of everything else that you do in helping you educate your potential audience as to why you're different, why you're so special, why should they choose you, okay? And then the other reason why you want to tell customers what you do is it gives you an opportunity to share your expertise. And this definitely comes into play if you're going with the learning something of value model, which is what I do. And so every week we send out a newsletter or a video tip like this one, and it's educating people. Even what I'm doing right now is showcasing and sharing my expertise for you in hopes that you will better your business and grow a successful and sustainable business. I'm not about guerrilla marketing or get rich quick schemes. I don't promise that you're going to be a millionaire by next week. I understand, and because I've been there, done that, just how much work goes into building a sustainable and profitable business. And I want to share that knowledge and expertise with you so that you don't have to waste so much time and money and energy on following all of those $100,000 programs and $10,000 programs to help you. That's the reason why, number one, as to why you should be sending out newsletters and doing list building. And then second reason is that it does build relationships and trust. And I've talked a little bit about the building the know, like, and trust factor. And this is how it's done. And it helps you build personal relationships with the people that are in your list. And especially if you follow some of the tips that I'm going to talk about in the next section on what to do and the tips on how to do that. And so all of this at the end of the day will help you build that know, like, and trust factor without coming across as sleazy, without being pushy and salesy and just feeling icky about it, because we don't want that to happen, right? We want to be genuine and authentic, and the best way to do that is through newsletters. And it helps you build those one-on-one relationships with people, because when somebody receives your email or your newsletter, it feels like you're talking to them, and that taps into you understanding and knowing without a shadow of a doubt who your target market is, so that the language that you speak is speaking their language and talking about what they are going through. And so then it also helps you build trust with your brand. The more that people will trust you and your business brand, they're more likely to buy and more likely to spread the word about you. And honestly, that is one of the main things that eVision Media has been so successful with over 15 years in business now, is that about 95% of our business comes from customer referrals. And that's because we've built a whole vat full of trust with them. They know they can depend on us to get back to them on time and to do the right thing and to create something that's really polished and professional for them, and to code their website properly so that they get the best SEO juice out of it, and to write the right marketing messages and all that kind of stuff. And that takes time to build up that trust, but we are living proof that it can happen, and you can get a lot of clients that way. Number 3, as to your reasons why newsletters are so important, is that it expands your market reach. What happens is it expands your visibility on multiple channels, because your newsletter is actually a part of your content marketing strategy. And a lot of people kind of miss this step, and it's so important. And I'm going to really quickly recap what this means. And so what happens is you write a blog article, okay? You put that blog article into your blog. You publish that blog article and spread it out to your social media channels, okay? And you're sending people back to the blog to read the blog article. You don't want to post the whole thing on, Facebook and Twitter and all that kind of stuff. You can mix it up, but for the most part, all of your activity should be reliant on sending people back to your website. And then you also can repost that blog onto article repository sites, so that more people will see it that way and get to know you and understand who you're all about and understand the expertise that you have. And then you also use that blog article in your weekly newsletter. So that's part of that sharing of your expertise. And it's also sending it out into the newsletter to all of the people that are in your newsletter list who are going back to your blog article to read it. Now, by the way, when you are sharing your articles, say onto the article repositories, you always want to have at the bottom a call to action to get people to sign up for your newsletter, so that they can get instant notice of when your next newsletter is published with that blog article in it. And then on your blog article, at the bottom of the blog article, you want to have a call to action there saying, hey, if you like this blog post, sign up for my newsletter and you'll get notified of the next one that gets published. You see how that expands your reach with every new reader who doesn't know who you are. They go to read the article, they love what you've written, they sign up for your newsletter. You now have another person in your newsletter who loves what you do, and you are driving that know, like, and trust factor with them. So it's a circular effect that just continually snowballs. It builds up over time. The 4th reason why newsletters are so important is that you have a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week sales force on your behalf. And the reason for that is when you set up your newsletter, you also want to set up an autoresponder series. So autoresponder series is a follow-up email sequence that's been pre-set up, and somebody signs up for your free report or your free gift, whatever it is. And then you have an autoresponder drip sequence after that further enhances what they originally signed up for, therefore further gains that know, like, and trust factor, offers even more value, and also has an opportunity to say, hey, if you're interested, why don't you give me a call and let's have a chat? Let's do a free consultation. Or if it's a product kind of an item, then, hey, just because you signed up, then I'm going to give you an X amount percentage off with this coupon off of a product of your choice. So, this can work both ways, whether you're service or product based. Okay. And so that's a huge thing. It doesn't matter what time of the day a new person signs up for your newsletter, those autoresponders kick in and they're automated. They happen automatically. And no, they don't have to be sleazy. And so if you follow some of these guerrilla marketers, and you're turned off by what they're doing, then then that's going to make you feel sleazy. And I don't want to do that, right? So you have to make it your own so that it doesn't feel sleazy to you. The final reason why is that it does develop ready to buy market list. And so when we have that know, like, and trust factor established with the people in our newsletter, they are more ready to buy from you because you've gained that trust and you've educated them. You've told them, just why it's beneficial for them to do business with you. And so, and when the time comes, they will hopefully have you top of mind and will reach out. And not only that, but they will also recommend you to other people that they know who could use your product or services too. So it's not just targeting that one person and hoping they will buy from you and being disappointed when they don't. That one person could tell 10 other people about you and you could get a sale that way too. And so that works really well to your benefit. And then also too, when we do our newsletters, it doesn't always have to be nothing but value driven, right? There can be a sprinkle of promotions in there. And when you have built that know, like, and trust factor with your followers, it's totally fine to put in some of those promotions, and they will be much more better received because they're okay with it. They don't mind that you have promoted something to them because they're a fan of yours. And hey, if I'll just take a pause here. If you're liking this kind of content, please ask me some questions. If you have any questions at all, use the comment section to ask, and I will be happy to answer. And also share and like this program, because if it isn't for you, then I wouldn't be here. So I appreciate you, and I would love it if you helped me spread the word and gain some more know, like, and trust factor with more people by sharing this or tagging them in the comment section. I would truly appreciate that. Okay, so now that we understand why newsletters are so important, let's talk about what to do. And so the first thing that you have to do is set up some sort of a email service provider. We have other recommended service providers too. Some are different than others. So sometimes it's more about what is the best service for you at your level of your business. So I'll provide a link for all of the service providers that we recommend. And then you need to set up some sort of a free giveaway. And the free giveaway can be a report, it can be an audio series, a video series, it can be, it can be whatever you want it to be. But the caveat is that it has to be something that your target audience is going to want. They have to want to have that. And that's a whole nother subject. And I did talk a lot about that in previous Tea Time Tips too, about understanding who your target market is and what is it that they want or need from you. And you have to tap into that. You have to understand what it is that they're going through. And just a real quick, something just flashed in my head. This is something that has really tripped me up many, many times. And I'm assuming that it might be tripping you up. There's a big difference between what your target audience needs from you or wants from you and is willing to pay for, as opposed to what you think they need and what you want to sell them. Two different things. Sometimes you're lucky and you've nailed it, but you have to be producing for them, not for what you think they need. Okay. So important differentiation there. So create a free giveaway, and then you add that free giveaway to your website and make sure that it's on every single page. You don't want to have it hidden and, buried, right? You can do a pop-up or an exit pop-up, which is what I talked about in the last tea time tip about calls to action. We talked about pop-ups, and just make sure that it's visible on every single page of your website. You also want to create a landing page. And a landing page means that it still has your website brand look and feel, the essence of your brand, but that is the only call to action on it. You have a visual, you have reasons why somebody should sign up for this, and you have the form right there. Short, sweet, simple, but no distractions, no other links, nowhere else for them to go. And the reason for that is the next thing. You want to run a campaign, an ad campaign. It can be Google ads, it can be Facebook ads, or any other kind of social media ads. And or you could even run contests. Like, there's lots of different ways to promote this free giveaway to get people into the list. Google ads and Facebook ads are one of the more and prominent ones, and they are very effective. In fact, Daniel is our SEO and SEM expert. He's our Google AdWord expert, and he knows his stuff in helping you get people into your list, qualified people into your list. And so that's the fastest way to get people into your list, is by putting some money into a budget and getting those ads done by a professional. Don't try to do ads yourself. Trust me, it is a whole nother profession. You would be spending so many hours trying to figure out how to do an ad and not screw it up. Sorry. But sure, anybody can throw up a Facebook ad, anybody can do a Google ad, but the amount of money that you're spending is exponentially greater than if you hired someone like Daniel on our team here at eVision Media. He will save you so much money because the cost per click will be dramatically much, much smaller than if you tried to do it yourself. And that's because he's been doing this for 15 years. He knows the tricks of the trade, and he knows how to get those cost per clicks down and get you results. So don't try to learn someone else's profession just to thinking that you're going to be saving money. But at the end of the day, you're really not saving any money. Okay, so the other thing you can do is other subtle references about your newsletter or your free gift. Like, you can put it into your email signature, you can put it into your social media profiles, promote it on social media as just a regular post. There's lots that you can be doing to making sure that people do know that you have a free gift and asking people to come and sign up for it. That's the framework of what you need to have in place in order to create your regular newsletter. And so now what I'm going to do is talk about the tips, because it sounds simple, but there's a lot of nuances that you really need to know about and understand in order to make it actually work and be effective for you. Okay, so we've talked about getting people into your list through a free giveaway. So you've got this database of people who have literally put up their hand and said, yes, I want to hear from you. I want that inspiration, or I want to hear those discounts and coupons, or I want to get something of value from you, right? So this is another part of that being sleazy, because there's a lot of people out there who are afraid to send out anything to that list for a fear of offending them or pissing them off or inundating them with spam emails. And that's not the case. Like, think about this for yourself. If you sign up for a newsletter, a good newsletter, not one of the gurus who spam you with 10 autoresponder emails, 3 times a day, that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about an autoresponder like every 3 or 4 days, and it's something of value. It's adding to the free gift that you gave them. It's not push, 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 buy from me, that kind of stuff, right? So have it in your mind clearly of the kind of autoresponder and the kind of funnel that we're talking about here. And so when you set it up the way that you would want to have it set up, and do unto others as you would have them do unto you, then it's fine. That's exactly what they're wanting from you. Part of that, as I said right at the top of the show, is developing that know, like, and trust factor. Converting those leads into clients means sending out regular, consistent newsletters. Doing this once every 6 months is not going to do you any good. They're going to have long forgotten about you 6 months from now. They're going to long forgotten you about 3 months from now. You're lucky if they'll remember you if you only send out a monthly newsletter, honest. So ideal scenario, every week, maybe every second week. That's how often you have to do it in order to keep the attention and grow a loyal following. Okay. Now, first of all, when you do send out your newsletters, you have to be careful about your subject line. You have to craft a spam trigger-free subject line, and it needs to be compelling on top of that. So you need to understand what will trigger spam and avoid that. It's so important. And then also use the sub teaser feature. Most newsletter providers, service providers, use that now. They have that as an option where it's a subheader, and use that as a teaser. Tell people what they'll learn or what they'll get if they open up this email. So the reason why those two are so important is because if they don't open your email, if they don't click on it to read it, then it's all for naught, right? You've sent it out. They might have seen it, but that doesn't mean they've read it. So the subject line and that subheader are that important. If it doesn't compel them in, if it doesn't resonate with them, they're not going to be opening it. They're not going to be reading it. Okay. So you have to get the open rates, not just the views, not just the clicks. And the click rate is actually your next thing. Like, you want them to click within the newsletter to whatever it is that you are showcasing. I've been talking all along about adding value, and it's important that this be highlighted again, is to make sure that you're adding value to that newsletter. If it's just spammy, if it's just salesy, if you're just doing nothing but talking about you and promoting you, what kind of value is that from your ideal client's perspective? Why would they want to hear that? Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to be pushed at and sold to. So you have to put yourself in their shoes and ask yourself, what can I provide of value that would help them and benefit them, or give? And sometimes it is a discount, but be clear on what is your platform there, and always think in mind, what is it that they want to hear from you or need from you. And then you do want to keep your newsletter short and scannable. I've been a little bit guilty of not doing this. We just recently switched over to Constant Contact, and I have scaled down our newsletter, but I just have a lot of information. So it was one of those things where right now we're sending out emails once a week, and sometimes we have 3 or 4 or 5 different pieces of information within that newsletter. And it can tend to be long. So I'm trying to condense it to get it into a little bit more of a easier to digest mode. But it's tough for me. I love to teach. I love to share. And but because I'm so personable in our newsletters, I do always start off with some sort of a personal message, a personal experience. Like, for instance, next week on our Thursday newsletter, I'm going to be talking about my experience at the Elton John concert, and tie that in with whatever our feature article is of that week, and so that we can all learn from these experiences and the lessons, and learn from my experiences and words of wisdom that I've learned over the years. And do also make sure that you include really straightforward calls to actions on your newsletter. You don't want them to just read the newsletter and nothing else. And there are some people who do that. They'll just ramble on and tell a story, and then there's nothing. Well, that's kind of pointless. Yes, you're entertaining. Yes, that's definitely entertaining. But if you have an intention of wanting to actually convert the people who are reading into clients, then you need to tell them to do something. And it might be just a matter of, hey, click this link and let's schedule a consultation and see how I can help you. Or click this link to read another article that might have more information about something, which that article ends with a call to action to lead to a consultation. You see, we're always trying to lead our clients into something. And if you want to learn more about CTAs, that's what I talked about 2 weeks ago in this Tea Time tip. And so you go ahead and check that out, all about the calls to action. And like I said, be consistent. Once a month is okay, but it's not ideal. Try to do an email more often. And then you do have to be careful that you adhere to the anti-spam laws, the CASL here in Canada, GDPR. Make sure that you are compliant with all of these privacy laws and things like that, anti-spam laws. You don't want to get flagged for being a spammer. That's the last thing that you want to do. Even if you're not intentionally doing it, you might be doing it because you're not aware that you are going against the rules of the land. So make sure that you do know what those rules are. And then use graphics and headings and white space, make it visually appealing and have it mirror your brand. So your brand colors, your brand voice, and your brand fonts and things like that. So you definitely want to be consistent with your brand. And do, remember to occasionally ask for the sale. It's not as if you should never, ever ask for the sale, but you just don't want to be sleazy about it, right? And so there's a good rule of thumb about doing that. Just don't ask too much. So, lose the pitch, lose the sleaze, and educate instead, and use a nice like an 80-20 balance, or even a 90-10 balance. So 80% is offering something of value, information, and then 20% is a call to action leading to a sale, or a program, or purchase, or something like that, or even a consultation, or 90% value, 10%. And this way, if you lean too much, if you do 100% of value, and then out of the blue, all of a sudden you're sending a promotional email, people aren't going to like that. They're going to go, what the heck is this? Why is this person trying to sell me something all of a sudden? Like, it's going to be foreign to them. So you have to kind of teach them right from the beginning that, yeah, I'm in business here, folks, and this is what I do. And if you're interested in hiring me or purchasing my product, this is some information about that. And so try to use that rule of thumb, the 80-20 or the 90-10 rule. And so those are the tips that I had for you. Do you have any questions at all about lead generation, specifically in the email marketing genre and sending out newsletters? This is a really quick tip, but I rushed through it. There's lots of information to say within each of these areas, but hands down, email marketing and sending out consistent newsletters is one of the most effective marketing tools that you can use in your business marketing toolkit, hands down. And if anybody tries to tell you that email is dead, they're wrong. The stats are astounding that email marketing still is alive and well, and it works as long as you do it the right way and don't chase after what those gurus are doing. And that's what's giving you a icky feeling about what email marketing is. That's not how it needs to be done, and that's not how it should be done. And so if you want to know how it should be done, type in ultimate in the comment section, and you will get a link popping up in Messenger for our free guide. And then you will witness what the drip series is, and once a week you will get a newsletter with full of valuable information. And also, if you're busy, delegate this task to a professional marketing team like us here at eVision Media. Every week, we write, produce, and send and promote newsletters for busy business owners who just don't have the time to do it themselves, but they do recognize the importance of doing this. It's all about nurturing those leads. It's a long-term game, of getting them to that point of when the time is right for them. But it's a very, very valuable thing to do. And this is something that is part of our expertise. So I would be happy to talk with you. Private message me if you are interested in hearing more about us helping you with your email marketing and setting up your newsletter and setting up your free giveaway and all that kind of stuff. I'd be more than happy to chat with you about that, because we can do the writing, the marketing, the technical part of it. We can do on all the graphics for it. So, we are a one-stop shop for that kind of thing, and web development as well. And so I invite you to take the plunge, start a newsletter if you haven't already, and watch your sales and brand visibility grow by doing that. And that's, at the end of the day, is one of the bigger benefits that you're going to get by sending out newsletters. I wish you well. That's it for today. I will talk to you all next time. Bye for now.